What's up, everybody? We are back. John Delarose here. Delarose.com. That's DELARROZ.com. Today we have our epic collection, At War with Atlantis. The final Lee and Kirby volume. And they should have put in Romita on it too, because there's 2 issues where he kind of filled in at the end there that Kirby didn't exactly get done. So this is volume 6, 1969 to 1970, and it collects Fantastic Four 88 through 104, and the Lost Adventure, which is what happened is Kirby quit the book and then kind of half did an issue, and they actually rejiggered the art a little bit and had, I think, Romita finish it, and it was a train wreck of a story. And so they actually found his original pencils and got Joe Sinnott to finish it, and got that all redone the way that he originally intended. And so that was that, and we get into this. So Kirby, if you go into those Fantastic Four volumes 3 through 5, those are some of the finest comics you'll ever read, period. And here, you can tell Kirby just isn't that into it anymore. And from what they say in interviews and all that, Stan Lee really was not even turning in plot synopsises, or they'd be very sparse at this point, and the artist would really be doing all of the heavy legwork at this point. So we just basically had, quote, Kirby writing, and they weren't liking the way that they were credited on these. And this happened with Steve Ditko also. And then, of course, these are the more creative ones. Ditko and Kirby were really probably the most creative artists out there. And the others were a little bit more of draftsmen than they were people who were just purely creating things. But right here, the Fantastic Four has moved to this weird underground layer to start some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful splash pages here. I love the Kirby art, even if it isn't the most inspired of stories at a point. And guess what? The Mole Man really has control over this place. And so this is we get a 2-issue arc here. And I think they like these 2-issue arcs. They set it up, and then here's some of your Kirby strange splashes here. There's aliens coming. And he used to just make collages of random things and put them in here, which nobody else really did in comics. So pretty cool stuff. And of course they defeat the Mole Man and get out of there. There's a gal who becomes their sort of nanny in this, and she's kind of a witch, and you start to meet her over a couple issues, and you see she's weird, and it gets interesting. So this one's the Skrull takes a slave, and they grab the thing, the Skrulls do, and take him to a planet where basically it's just a gambling planet, and the thing is then forced into fighting in these like arena games. So pretty standard sort of stuff, but I love this kind of plot. I think these are fun, and for some reason the Skrulls like really liked this this planet, and so it's like a 30s gangster planet, and so somebody liked that era, and so he just brought it to the planet with him, and then the society kind of came up from that. So this whole thing with this fighting an alien is in there, and you get the Tommy guns. It's just a cool look. So it's fun to read this stuff. So super fun storyline. I mean, it's not like you're not developing cool stuff like it was before. Like you're not getting Inhumans or Black Panther or Galactus. I mean, we are rehashing some Skrull stuff, and it's just some random arena fight, right? And of course, this one lasted 4 issues, so it's a pretty long storyline here. That's a beautiful page right there. Look at that. Look at that angle and the shading. Good stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it is going out with a whimper a little bit, but Jack Kirby's whimper is still better than most people's best works. So, you get what you get here. And this is where we get into the old lady who has her nannying service. And I haven't seen her too much in modern comics, and I really like this character, and I would like to see a little more of her. I don't know what happens, because I haven't read a lot of the interim Fantastic Four stuff, but she is a witch, basically, and the Frightful Four comes and attacks while the Fantastic Four is sleeping, and she basically stops them, and the Fantastic Four doesn't know her powers, but they see that she's taking care of little Franklin very nicely, who's their baby. They actually name in this volume. He was never named before this volume. If the FF fails, it means World War III. Oh no. So we get this guy Monocle, and he shoots this camera ray device. Now what I get to see, I talk about uninspired, but like almost every issue has some sort of ray device. Like the Skrulls had a ray device that was going to blow up Earth, and then and they had to destroy that. The Mole Man, a couple issues back, had a ray device which was going to make everybody blind, just like him. And now they've got a ray device that's in a camera, and it's like Jack Kirby's really phoning it in a little bit at this point. But they're supposed to defend the UN, and he's shooting this ray device at people and going to kill them all, and he falls off of a building. So it's not the most exciting one. All right, Mad Thinker then escapes and comes back, and he's got androids. So again, just a plot rehash, which we've already kind of seen before at this point. So it's fun, just not that exciting. The Monster from the Lost Lagoon. Bum, bum, bum. And this is, you've seen this in Monster where they're these monster stories quite a bit. And this one feels a lot like those monster stories that Kirby used to do in the short stories, where it turns out he's actually an alien invader, or not actually an invader, he crashed his ship. So he's just trying to get out of there, and finally does, once they have a communication meltdown here. Doomsday on the Moon. It's a really nice pulpy title there. I like that. And we've got Reid doing experiments. He can't be troubled to eat dinner. And this one's kind of weird in continuity. So they really wanted to, I guess Kirby wanted to pay some homage to the Apollo astronauts who were landing on the moon and did something with the Fantastic Four in the first moon landing. The problem is it doesn't really work with the story because the Fantastic Four have already been to the moon a couple times over the series so far. So why are they excited for man to walk on the moon when they already have? It's but basically they stave off some people trying to harm the astronauts, and then we get the one small step bit. So it didn't really work all that well, unfortunately. And we're getting really to the end here, and this is the sad part. It's like the Ben Thing arena fight was fun. It was good. I liked the witch lady dealing with the Frightful Four, but after that, it's really gone downhill on the story wise. So we're almost towards the end of Kirby's run, and we just don't have the best stories compared to what we had before. But at least we get one more. We get one more good shot. You can tell he cares about the Inhumans a little more than he cares about his other stuff. And there is a little bit of a plot hole in this one, but Crystal has taken off, and she is going off with the Inhumans, and the Torch is really upset about it. And so he vows to get her back and goes and fights the Inhumans and breaks into their city and all that. And he's pissed. Look at that expression. Rawr. So that's what we have in here. And I'm trying to make this one go a little faster than most of these videos I do on here. But you can tell, again, Kirby just cares about the Inhumans a little bit more than he cares about the other stuff. And so he does a little bit of an interesting story here. And the Torch and Crystal finally get back together. And we learned that Crystal ran off because Black Bolt was ill or whatever, and she was going to take care of him. And she has a vial. Of course, a vial when our strength will be restored. You know, they always have those very simple things. But why did she just run off and not tell him? I mean, it just really doesn't make sense. You know, I mean, they really set up that she was leaving in a way that, like, you really wanted more of an explanation out of it than he was sick and she just had to go hang. But that was the end of that. But still, watching the Torch, that emotional moment, the emotional moments between him and Crystal were very solid right there. And we get to the 100th issue. And again, we kind of get a little bit of an uninspired story where there's all these robots being made of all their villains forever as they're, you know, kind of dealing with all these just bots from the Puppet Master and what's his name? So it's not that interesting, but it's okay. Issue 101. Here we go. They're back to the Baxter Building. So finally back to the Baxter Building after a while. And we have a weird sort of mafia thing going on. And I guess the Magia, which is their mafia sort of stuff, is like trying to take over and get some of Reid's stuff. And they come in and break in, and the Fantastic Four, of course, has to fight them off. Bum, bum, bum. This is actually a more interesting story than most of them through here. So 101 was pretty neat And, of course, they stop everything at the end, and everything's better. And then this is the final Kirby issue. And he's actually about to pick up a really interesting story right here. And it's really sad that he leaves partway through it. But the Submariner is teamed up with Magneto. And Magneto's kind of convinced the Submariner that Earthlings are really a problem, and, we gotta fight for your honor, Namor. And Namor launches an attack on Earth with all of his Atlantean type of people. And that's where he stops. So bye-bye. Jack Kirby just takes off, and John Romita takes over. And John Romita really does a great job at aping Kirby's style. So if you look here with Crystals, just the way she's done, and Sue Storm the way she's done, very similar. You can almost not tell a difference. Romita really did wonderfully here. And we have a new inker who is Jay Verporton. I would say that, like, Romita does draw Sue Storm a little bit prettier than Jack Kirby did. But it's not quite... When he took over Spider-Man from Steve Ditko, he really just did his own thing and didn't try to copy Steve Ditko too much. He did a little bit in the beginning, but it was not as close as this. But he really just, like, dialed in on the Kirby look here for the continuation of this war with Atlantis. And Richard Nixon goes, "Hey, guys, you better stop these dastardly fools from Atlantis." And we have a couple knockdown, drag-out fights through this. Super fun stuff. It is the most fun story out of this volume so far. So we do get that. It's sad that Kirby left in the middle of it, but it worked out pretty good. And then, of course, Namor realizes Magneto was using him and joins up with the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four begs Nixon for more time, saying, "Don't blame the Atlanteans. They don't know what they're doing." And they work to take down Magneto together. And Magneto at this point is such a he's like a cheesy villain, which comes over from the X books. It doesn't really get that interesting till later. But that's it. They finally stop the deal, and you get a annual where they're reprinting stuff. And this is a pretty neat feature in the back, which you get this whole list and group of these pictures of everybody who's working at Marvel at the time. So I didn't know most of these people. I mean, I know who they are, but I haven't seen pictures of most of these people, I should say. And so it's pretty neat that you get all these people. I guess Gene Simic is a letterer. I think Artie Simic's the main letterer for Marvel, so it's interesting that a lot of family got in here. This is Larry Lieber right here, who's Stan Lee's brother, so pretty cool stuff also. Very happy to get all this. And then Jean Thomas, adorable assistant. I'm going to guess she was married to Roy Thomas. I didn't look it up, but it seems like that's how it would work. There's Roy Thomas. And there's our nice little bullpen going down right here. Pretty cool. So here we go. Fantastic Four number 108. And so this is the talk about, and this is an essay from a guy from the Jack Kirby Collector, which is a cool little magazine that talks about Jack Kirby stuff. And he pieced together the storyline where Jack Kirby was actually attempting to do it for issue 108. See, there's some missing panels and all that. I think they were supposed to copy some of those. And talks about what the story was supposed to be compared to what actually happened. Now, 108's not in here. I guess that'll be in the next volume. We'll take a look at that when we get to it. It'll be nice to compare this to that when we actually get to the storyline itself. And here's the Lost Adventure, which then goes on from there. So this is a single one-off issue, and it's all right. But again, it's like those uninspired one-offs that we saw before. So it really isn't as exciting as a lot of the stuff we noticed. You've got another Ray, of course. Another Ray. So that's about it. The reason it's placed in here and not in the next volume, which is 108, because that's issue 108, is it was originally actually intended to be issue number 102. It's just they skipped over it. Actually, Stan thought that Jack did not do work up to the standard, because that's why he just pulled it from production. Very, very interesting at that point. So, and he's kind of right. I mean, this is not as good as the other Jack Kirby stuff, But it was still a good read. I still love everything Kirby does. I like looking at Kirby art, even if it isn't as inspired. Still an 8 out of 10 book. It's just sad to see the Fantastic Four go out this way. All right, everybody, hit that like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.